Alright, I covered a boomer shooter with Hellbound, I covered the near end of a strategy game franchise with XCOM Enforcer. What next? I have an idea. Have y'all heard of a company called CI Games? They released the Sniper Ghost Warrior and the Lords of the Fallen series. These are usually pretty high profile, very ambitious games. But, back in the old days, around the mid-2000s when computer games weren't just sold on digital platforms but also physically, in boxes, shocking I know, they went by a name of City Interactive. They were pretty much on the front lines of making low-budget, often pretty bad games, mostly in the first-person shooter genre. The majority of these games ran on one of two engines, the first being the Cloak NT engine used in games like Chaser, Soldier of Fortune Payback, and Secret Service. So you knew it was a good engine, though it would also power games like the Call of Juarez series and Dying Light as the Chrome engine, so that's nice. The other engine they'd use is Lithtech, aka Jupiter EX, best known for being the engine for the OG Fear. And look at some of these names, like they really tried with these. Battlestrike, Force of Resistance, Armed Forces Corps, Terrorist Takedown, Payback, SAS, Secure Tomorrow, Beauty Factory, and of course today's kindling, Code of Honor, the French Foreign Legion, released on March 27th, 2007, exclusively on PC. So without further ado, let's begin. Oh, we are in for a treat today. The stock Desert Military soundtrack, the background that looks like somebody's first pick in Gary's mod, this guy's pose that looks like he's about to fall over. Let's get to it. We get some text saying that rebels have seized a lot of territory in West Africa and the French Foreign Legion is called in to assist. Who are these rebels and why are they doing what they're doing? Who knows? Who cares? Let's move on. The first reconnaissance will be led by Corporal Claude Boulet. The code name of the operation is Savannah Hot. Great code name. Makes sense. I mean, we're in the savannah. It's hot. Savannah Hot. What next? Operation Arctic Cold? Operation Amazon Rainy? Operation Florida Everybody is Insane? Also, they're sending a single soldier in for this very delicate recon mission. Are we played by Steven Seagal? Well, to begin with, the movement feels absolutely terrible. There is a noticeable delay to when you start and stop, and if you turn quickly enough while walking, you actually slide in the direction you are moving. I don't know if they were trying to simulate the player having lots of heavy gear on them, or if this is a bug with Cloak NT games, but good god, this feels dreadful. It's like you're on an ice rink wearing shoes slathered in butter, and that's pretty damn impressive considering you're in the middle of the desert. Anyway, aside from the god-awful movement, the basic gameplay is passable. The weapons work, though there isn't much feedback when you kill enemies, no blood splashes or anything like that. Also, kind of amusingly, the aim down sights looks like somebody just took a PNG of the gun sights and then blurred it in Photoshop to pretend like you're looking down them. Maybe because the gun models aren't detailed enough to actually do iron sights? On the topic of feedback, that also applies to you getting shot as well. You only get these really small indicators that just show the general direction of where you're getting shot from. You get stuff like a FAMAS, an AK-47, incorrectly called an AK-74, an RPG-7, FRF-2, and a SPAS-12. And let me tell you, this ain't the fear shoddy. How do you fuck up a SPAS-12, guys? It's a tried and true gaming weapon. The basic gameplay loop pretty much boils down from running from point A to point B, pressing F on things, and killing the same two character models over and over again while they keep shouting stuff. On the topic of shouting, the voice acting is, once again, passable. What I do find hilarious are the attempts to give Boulet some witty one-liners. They are genuinely so bad it's good.
I think that throwing a grenade inside and running really fast would be the best plan for now. Sierra 1, I'm inside. I see a couple of toys here.
Tango 4, get rid of the castle security and demolish their gear.
Great! I'll do some Pulp Fiction here. Sierra 1, I have never been more concentrated in my life. Actually, I feel like a concentrate.
What? This game is not very long either. Most missions won't take you much more than 10 minutes to get through, and there's about 8 of them. It took me about an hour and 40 minutes to get through it. I could have shaved off like 20 minutes if I didn't get lost in the last level. But what do we get for our ending?
Hey, we see you, all dirty and covered in blood like Rambo.
Yep, that's it. About what I expected, really. I would wrap things up here, but we're not done with Claude Boulet's adventures just yet, because on August 19th, 2008, we were blessed with Code of Honor 2: Conspiracy Island. There's more of a story in this game. Not much, but it is there. A terrorist group called the Global Revolutionary Front have taken over an abandoned prison on Ile Royale, which for some reason has a nuclear reactor on it, and it's up to the Foreign Legion to stop them trying to get radioactive materials off the island. To begin with, the overall presentation, while still being low budget, is miles ahead of the first game. There's more voice acting, which is a step up from the original in quality, the weapon models look decent, the environments are nice and colorful, and in general, it feels like there was more effort put into it. Not AAA levels of effort, but a commendable level of effort nonetheless. The base gunplay feels much better too. If you played Fear, then the overall gameplay should be very familiar to you, aside from not having a slow-mo button. You'll be blasting away bad guys in caves, deserted prison cells, a factory, and some offices. This part in particular made me feel like I was playing a Fear mod. Like the original, this one won't take you much more than an hour to get through, with the ending involving blowing up the terrorist leader in a helicopter before leaving the island, when the game implies a bit of a twist. Oh snap, there was a bomb on the chopper. Is this the end of Claude Boulet's adventures in the French Foreign Legion? Well, no. Because on August 21st, 2009, we got Code of Honor 3: Desperate Measures, the same year as the original Modern Warfare 2. That is an awkward as hell sentence. In this installment, the FFL is brought into France to help deal with a group called the Syndicate who are trying to smuggle weapons out of the country. The base gameplay is pretty much the same as 2, however there is one change made. It is much harder than the previous game. You do not take much damage before keeling over. Honestly though, I'm kinda okay with that. I mean, after all, it is a tactical first-person shooter as marketed. You can't play it like Doom, folks. It doesn't end very well. The locations range from offices, again, like Fear, abandoned train tunnels, a villa, an underground bunker, and a rain-drenched port. The opening mission also takes place on a passenger plane and reminds me a lot of Mile High Club from Call of Duty 4. In a good way, honestly. Oh, and in the train tunnels, there's a homeless guy that you run into, and he mentions being in the Legion and was part of your team during the events of the second game.
We were there fighting a group of terrorists who they wanted to put their hands on some radioactive materials from a nuclear reactor. The island was called Ile Royale. Hey, if it wasn't for one of my squad mates, I wouldn't be here at all. His name was Claude Boulet.
Who was he exactly? I don't know, this guy, I guess? The final mission involves chasing the lead terrorist through a rainy port and then just kinda easily arresting him. There's a message from two other guys, clearly the masterminds of this organization, hinting at a plan B.
Get someone to take care of him. We're moving on to plan B. I'll make the phone call.
Would this mean we'd see yet another gripping mission with the French Foreign Legion? Well, no. No, we would not. City Interactive ended up shuttering its budget titles division back in 2008, about a year or so before Code of Honor 3. There were still some budget titles released and published, probably leftovers, but they made it clear that they wanted to move on to bigger and better things, beginning with Sniper Ghost Warrior in 2010, before eventually dropping the City Interactive name and rebranding as CI Games in 2013. And nowadays, the quality of games developed and published by them tends to be a bit more ambitious than before. At the end of the day though, I wouldn't say the Code of Honor games were the worst FPS to ever happen. Well, aside from the first game anyway, but even then, it's playable, if not very good. I would describe the first game as the equivalent of a crappy low-budget war movie made in the 80s, while 2 and 3 were the direct-to-video sequels that inexplicably happened like 20 years later, but were actually kinda okay. If I had to pick the best game of the series though, I would wager that 3 would win that title, followed closely by 2, and then the first game was kinda like Bruno, in that we don't talk about it.
Sierra 1, I have never been more concentrated in my life. Actually, I feel like a concentrate.